Welcome back to Guardians of Gaia, connecting people and planet. And in this episode, we are looking at examples of organizing and action in the struggle for environmental justice and social justice. So let's watch and see how protecting the ocean and its resources against mining is essential for a sustainable future in this period of intense climate change.
Oceans are the heart and lungs of our planet. Our oceans provide ecosystem services critical for the health and survival of our planet. These services include climate regulation, oxygen production, and food provision. South Africa has an astonishingly rich marine environment. It is home to over 11,000 known species of marine animals and 15% of global fish species. Around 13% of these species are endemic, found nowhere else in the world. The seabed is the building block of marine ecosystems and provides nurseries, feeding, and spawning habitats for a rich array of marine species. South Africa's marine environment is also a national asset of considerable social, biological, cultural, and economic importance. Our fishing industry provides significant socio-economic benefits, including jobs, livelihoods, and food security. Our commercial fishing industry sustains 27,000 jobs directly and 100,000 indirectly. There are approximately 30,000 small-scale fishers and 150 fishing communities in South Africa. Furthermore, our oceans are the foundation of other sustainable industries, including tourism. But South Africa's marine environment is under threat from a rapid increase in marine mineral and petroleum extraction. The Petroleum Agency of South Africa has leased 98% of our marine environment for offshore oil and gas. This includes unconventional gas exploration activities such as offshore fracking. Apart from the risk of oil spills and direct impacts on marine life, these operations result in a proliferation of seismic surveys. These have dire impacts on marine mammals and pelagic fish. An increasing number of rights have been granted for coastal heavy mineral sand prospecting and mining. This uses giant earth-moving machines to dig up strips of coastal dunes and beaches, which is removed by trucks for processing. This practice is moving further offshore, which would use dredging technologies and open-cast mining to extract marine minerals. Now, there's a new and dangerous threat to our marine habitats. Recently, the Department of Mineral Resources granted 3 rights to private companies to prospect for marine phosphate over a considerable area. Together, these areas cover approximately 150,000 square kilometers, or 10% of our marine environment. If mining proceeds in these areas, it would involve a technology named trailing suction hopper dredge. This is comparable to strip mining the seafloor at an alarming rate. A dredge head with cutting teeth is dragged on the seafloor and completely removes a living layer of our seabed of up to 3 meters deep. These operations can remove up to 5.5 million tons of sediment annually. This living layer is then vacuumed up by a tube. The process creates a giant plume of sediment, equivalent to a dust cloud of hazardous substances such as methane, hydrogen sulfide, and heavy metals locked in the seabed. This plume blankets an area far greater than the mined area, smothering and burying seabed ecosystems. As seabed mining would have significant impacts on fish stock, it would devastate small-scale and commercial fishing, as well as associated jobs, livelihoods, and food security benefits. South Africa, Namibia, and Angola are signatories to the Benguela Current Convention, which requires us to work together in managing shared marine resources. It would be irrational for us to allow marine phosphate mining when these activities will devastatingly impact our neighbors. No other country has allowed bulk marine sediment mining. Countries that have received similar applications have placed a moratorium or permanent ban on such operations. These include New Zealand, Mexico, and Australia, Northern Territory, and our neighbour Namibia. We do not have a shortage of phosphates for farming. There are viable alternatives for ensuring continued phosphate supplies including improved soil management and phosphate recovery from sewage facilities. South Africa's current legal and governance framework cannot cope with bulk marine sediment mining. The cumulative impacts of an unregulated and unenforced seabed mining industry would be disastrous. In 2015, in response to concerns that seabed mining would soon be authorized, a group of organizations formed the Safeguard Our Seabed Coalition. The coalition includes organizations that represent commercial and small-scale fishing, organized labor, and environmental justice organizations. The primary objective of the coalition is to pursue a moratorium on bulk marine sediment mining. The coalition believes a moratorium should be in place until, at minimum, a strategic environmental assessment has been concluded so that the impacts on established and renewable industries such as fisheries and tourism are known. Our marine environment is remarkably beautiful and rich. The health of our country, our people, and our environment, and therefore our economy, depends on the health of our ocean. We have a duty of care towards our ocean, both for its intrinsic value and for our own well-being.
Organizations have formed the Safeguard Our Seabed Coalition, working together to stop ocean mining until environmental impact assessments are done. So let's hear from organizations who are taking the government to court to provide water access and livelihood rights. We spoke to Boisile Mafilika at the Masifundise Development Trust.
The famous one, it's the one which was in 2007. You will recall that before 2007, the small-scale fisheries, they were not recognized in terms of there was no policy in place. And MDT, with coastal links, which is the movement of the small-scale fishing communities, they took government to court, where they were enforcing the state to recognize the small-scale fishing communities by having a policy in place. Now, here you will have Mr. Kenneth George, who was the leading applicant. And since then, in 2007, when the court judgment said, look, as government, you need to put up a policy. Today, we have a policy in place where the fishing communities across the country, they have a policy that gives them the fishing rights. Without that policy, it will mean that we were to sit with a crisis where fishing, especially from these small scale communities, they are being classified as, they have been criminalized. And with the policy in place, it meant that at least we saw the light. And then also, other than that, when you go to Eastern Cape, there is a case called the Gongose case, David Gongose. David Gongose, he's coming from an area or a village called Wobeni in Elliotdale. He was arrested for fishing in an area marked as an MPA, which is a marine protected area. Now, for him to be arrested, it was a shock, because what he believed on was that his great-grandfathers used to go and fish in the same area or in the same spot. When his father passed away, he took the fishing tools that his father used to carry, and then he went to the very same spot where his father used to fish, and then he was arrested. The reason why he was arrested is because way back then, the recognition of the tools, the recognition of the way in which traditionally people regard fishing as part of their life was not in the statute books or was not recognized. Now we have the Gongose, where the customer rights have been recognized. And then also on the same issue, if you come to Langaban here in Cape Town in 2008, before 2008, let me just go back, before 2008, Langaban shore or beach was divided into two. There was an area called Area Zone A. Zone A was meant purely for holiday makers in order for them just to have fun. And then you will have a Zone B, which was meant for the fishing community to use it in order for them to fish. In 2008, there was a shift where people now have been told that, look, don't fish anymore in Zone B, come and fish in Zone A. What does that mean? It means that by the time the holiday makers are coming to Western Cape, these fishing community members, they will not have something to put on the table because there will be uh, thousands of people flooding their beaches. So that one, it was also taken to court by Masifundise and MDT, and then it was warned that, look, keep Zone B specifically for fishing purposes. Keep Zone A purely for holiday makers. These are the things that we did as Masifundise.
So MDT had launched a court case with the in the Center of Environmental Rights, the water access case. Tell us about that. Why was it launched, and what kinds of outcomes were you hoping to yield from it?
Wow, that one. When it was announced, or when COVID was declared as a national disaster or an international pandemic, we were all told that we have to wash our hands. And a group of 10 people from the village of Tsentane in Ward 28 under Umnuma municipality, they met as a village, as communities of Tsentane to discuss means and ways of getting water because they don't have water since 2017. They were arrested. And then it was then that we were informed that members of Coastal Links are arrested. So we were asked to assist with their release. As soon as they were released, we asked the question, if maybe they are released, will there be water provided? And then hence the Legal Resource Center came in to say that, look, we need to take the matter forward. The problem with this area of Ward 28 under Umnuma, there are water taps, there are water tanks. All of these, they are dry since 2017. And then for us, we took this matter up to Mthatha High Court. And we were in Mthatha High Court where the government, the National Department of Water, the Office of Minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma Copter, I think so, the Premier of the Eastern Cape, Amatola District, and Umnuma. All of these departments, they were given some time by the court to say that, go back, come up with a plan as to how are you going to make sure that at least there is water in Ward 28. You'll be surprised to learn that when we went back to court on the 12th of November, only one sphere of government replied, which was Amatole. And then, to our surprise, the Amatole gave a clear picture on how they will deliver water to the entire community, having failed to deliver water in the past 4 or 5 years. Now for them, within a week or two, to come up with a plan. So we said, look, we don't want to take it from them. We want all of them, which is the National Minister, Office of Minister Mkunu, Office of Minister Dlamini Zuma, Office of the Premier of the Eastern Cape, and Amatole. They must come up with a plan jointly. So what we want to see happening in Tsentane Ward 28 is to have water, running water, throughout the day. We want them to make sure that at least the borehole system that they are using is kept running throughout the day, than to have it running. Let's say, how do you begin to have a generator that operates only for 4 hours, and then thereafter you are cooling it down up until the next day, while people, they don't have water, they depend on the borehole. And then also for Amatola district to say that they have 16 trucks, water trucks, and then out of the 16 water trucks, it's only 2 which are functioning. What happened to the 14? So these are the things that we want to hear from them, is to say that how they will be bringing water to these communities. And also, written from their documents, they claim that they have water tanks installed in each and 8 of the villages forming Ward 28. And then when you go there physically, so you will be shocked to learn that there's only 2 water tanks which are there. But on paper, they're saying that there are 2 per village. And then in reality, there's only 2. And then the 2 tanks also, it's 5,000 liters per tank. Even the 2, they are dry. They were only filled once. So that's why, like we're saying, look, come the 10th of December, we want to make sure that at least the government take the judgment seriously. So, failing to do so, we're not going to compromise this time around. We want them to be arrested. Yes, it was an opportunity it was an opportunity for us to make sure that they get arrested when we were there recently on the 12th. But we said, look, we don't want to play politics here. We want water. For them to fail, not to follow or not to give water to the people having given or having heard from the court, it means that they are now what? They are disobeying the court. So if they are to do the same, no one is going to stop us. We want to see the minister being arrested for failing to bring or to give people water. Thanks.
After the break, we'll continue hearing from people and organizations taking environmental action to ensure a more sustainable world. You're tuned to Guardians of Gaia, connecting people and planet.